Episode number 17 with Steve and Mike. Welcome to the Heads Up Poker Podcast. We are your hosts, Steve
and Mike.
How's the last week been, Mike?
Pretty good. I mean, I might have a job.
Oh!
I have been offered a job.
Mm-hmm.
Just pending my background check. Funny thing is, I went to the casino and told people I was permitting myself to play a little cash because I have a job now, anyways, and there should be some money coming. But it is the nighttime Walmart stock person.
That's pretty much exactly what you wanted, right?
Well, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be, we'll see. First of all, if I somehow don't pass my background check, I mean, hoping
they don't find out about that trip to Thailand, or what?
Calling the post office and the terms of my leaving there, but I'm pretty sure they whatever, making $10.70 an hour. And it's part-time, so there'll be, that's how most companies the post office is the same thing. They hire you technically at first as a sort of an individual contractor to take out the mail as a substitute carrier, and then hopefully, you get your own route and you're in with the benefits. So I don't know, hopefully Walmart's not a long-term thing anyways, but yeah, for a 44-year-old man starting over, this should be... I should be in a fit of utter misery, but I'm trying to, this is maybe the middle age of guys. You try to take the philosophical view of life or whatever this is. I mean, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm at. Make the best of it. And like I said, the purpose of the nighttime shift was a lot so I could still play poker from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. each night because obviously the Walmart would just take home pay from this would probably cover my rent, and that's about it.
Okay.
So if I want to pay child support and eat and have a car and other things, then I'm going to need a second source of income, and hopefully poker is profitable here.
Well, this will probably take a lot of pressure off you. You've seemed a little stressed in the last couple of weeks, and that's certainly understandable. And this I think will help alleviate a lot of that. Maybe put a little bit of kind of get you a regular schedule, kind of put you some structure in your life. If you're the nighttime stock person, man, you can absorb every single poker piece of content that's audio out there while you're doing it.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know if you're allowed to listen to music while you work. I don't think so, because Walmart's open 24 hours. So at all points,
that's a good point.
There's going to be someone's going to come by and say, hey, can you help me find this and that? So yeah, that was one of the things I was thinking about. That would be similar to the post office, where I could listen to my music and all that kind of stuff. But that's probably not true. But we'll find out, hopefully.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know how much it's going to do. Working at Walmart do for my. I'll have to get adjusted to the sleep, and I'm a natural hysteric anyways, so somehow but whatever. This is what I wanted. This is what I said I needed. I said I don't really care about the money. I just want some paycheck each week just to show I'm doing something.
Yeah.
And anyways, it's we'll see. So
good for you. Cool.
This is but it is kind of funny, just a month or two ago, I was referring to myself as a poker pro, and now I will not use that word again. And anyways, I don't know. We'll see.
You're semi-pro. How's that?
I don't know.
Oh, you got like 20 grand sitting on the merge. I mean, that takes some level of talent.
Right. Well, I get defensive. I'll say I am a winning player, but tournament player, and I see no reason why this shouldn't continue. But I don't know. So I deposited money again on America's Card Room in Bovada, and I keep saying not again. Although I went back to all my America's Card Room deposits, and I'm actually up a couple $100 in that site.
Oh, okay.
Because I felt like for a while there, they were only letting deposits of like $150 or something. So
on where?
On America's Card Room.
Oh, I put $550 on there. That was the max I could put on.
Right. I don't know if it was my credit card or just the policy for I mean, I've been on there for 3 years, but I saw that I shipped a tournament early when I first joined and got a check off there for 2,700.
Okay.
And since there, I've had a bunch of deposits anywhere between 100 and now 500. So it's about even, I guess, on the site, or maybe a little bit ahead. So as much as I've been bitching about how those two sites I've run horrible, Bovada, I just, like, I mean, I just bricked like 5 or 6 tournaments last night, and it's just, maybe at Merge I'm running just really, really well for 3 years. I mean, certain software is just, whatever. I'm very negative about Bovada, but I mean, like, I really need to start, making some money there, and hopefully I'll get a score and then things will align. But like right now, it seems like I'm cashing like 1 out of every 40 tournaments or something. It just seems, the whole thing seems, like I said, just
just ridiculously one-sided.
Yeah, and anyways, right now I really hate that site, so I better start making some money soon, or I'm going to start telling some bad beat stories again. I really don't have any threats to put out there to the world, other than to annoy them a little more than I do right now. So, and by the way, it's just you and I today.
It is. Your guests today are Steve and Mike.
And it's not because we cannot get guests. We've got them rolling in. It's just that, maybe we've missed each other, Steve.
I
we
think
we want to maximize the together time here.
Yes. We keep bringing in third parties, and it's just not that alone time that we've been craving.
How dare that Joe LaPinta try to get between the two of us? Start arguments how to play hands. Damn it. He is a sneaky little bastard. If you look at those snaky eyes here. No, I'm just kidding. Joe was a great guest.
He was.
One of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, I liked the episode a lot. It was good. We've got other guests lined up and everything, but we've been getting a lot of requests on Twitter and Facebook and emails that we kind of just want to hear you and Mike for one. So I thought, okay, let's do it. That'd be fun. But next week we've got Dusty Schmidt coming up. He's the author of Treat Your Poker Like a Business and Don't Listen to Phil Hellmuth. And
that's your favorite. That's your favorite poker book.
That is my favorite poker book.
You mentioned that one with. I still have not read it, but you mentioned that one quite frequently.
Yeah. It's an excellent book. There's like a chapter in the end on strategy, and it's basically to do with cash hands, but he basically lays it all out on this is how you set your life up, and this is how you set up your business if you're going to be a professional poker player. And everything from bankroll management to tilt to just having a schedule, how your family life and balance at home should be if this is what you're going to do, making sure that your spouse understands. His wife even wrote a chapter in the book on what it's like to be the spouse of a professional poker player and the amount of it's good. I showed it to my wife, and that helped a lot. It's just an awesome read. Great book. And it's a quick read, too.
Does he get into any sort of autobiographical history of, like, how he became so damn good? Like, how much work he put in and all that kind of stuff? Or is he just one of those gifted motherfuckers who just, started playing poker and just knew exactly what he was doing? And
he started with, I think, $100 and just started playing like 1 cent, 2 cent, and just learning the game that way. And then by the time he wrote the book, this was before Black Friday, so he was playing, I think it was like 12 or 16 tables of 5-10. And he figured that he was making, I think, $1 a hand, and he was playing, I think, 7,000 hands on average a day. And it was just like extreme work ethic. I mean, it was very, very impressive. Very impressive. But, great book. We'll have him on next week. I talked to him on the phone last night. He's excited. I'm excited. Mike's excited. It's going to be a good one.
Okay.
But anyways, so you played some cash?
Yep. I didn't really have too many I don't know. My commitment to cash was to again, like I said, at some point we'll sit down. Maybe this would have been the time, although I didn't prepare it, to actually break down the mathematics, because I really wanted to, for a while there I was talking specifically about how many dollars I've made and lost, and trying to give people an idea of what I thought hopefully was going to be me being like sort of the real grinder who's just surviving. But of course it's been the opposite, not even surviving, and so I don't even want to talk about how much money I keep losing, at least cash. But it was kind of funny. I went there, and this was Tuesday night, I guess Friday night. I think I just got knocked out of the high roller in like 6th place. You know, the merge high roller that I was talking about.
Yeah.
And I think I slow played a set. I think it was like second in chips, where there was like 8 to go, and I slow played a set. And guy hit a gutter on the river or something. I lost a huge pot, and then went up. It's, you know, typical, like I said, you know, 8,700 for first and 1,600 for sixth. But anyways, I went to play cash, and I took a couple $1,000s out, and I said, listen, I'm just going to kick back here and have some food and not play a lot of hands, you know, and try to get paid how I do when I do. And it was like the dream table. I mean, people say the craziest table ever. Usually, like, there's like 1 or 2 people like that, but it was like 4 or 5 of them. Seriously, there was this one guy from Switzerland who he bought it for 500. Like, this had happened a few hours earlier, and he had it up to 6,000.
Wow!
And he was like, there was one hand where he just 3-bet 200, bet 400, and then bet 1,200 on the river. And the guy, you know, snapped him off with top 2 pair, and this guy had 4-9 for, like, you know, 4th pair or something like that.
Wow.
And yeah, and then it was I don't know, there's this one old guy who was just he just wanted to see flops. He didn't care. He'd limp for $5, and there's once where he limped for $5, and the Swiss guy made it like 80. And then this guy called, and there was like 160 in the pot, and the Swiss guy made it 400 on a deuce 6 flop.
Okay.
And the guy called, and then the turn, I forget, was it was a 9. It was a 9. And then the Swiss guy made it like 1,800. This other guy had it like 2,500, something like that. I guess this would have put them all in, and he tanked forever. And he was like, and he finally folded ace 6 face up. So he had, and so he called the massive overbet on the, you know,
wow.
And the other guy showed aces. He had it this time.
Okay.
The Swiss guy showed his hand every time, and, you know, big bluffs. And
oh, he's showing his hand every time?
Quite frequently.
Wow,
I mean, he was getting
awesome.
really. He was throwing it. He was throwing it, and and then there's a couple. Then there's this I don't know, this air. There was like 4 or 5 guys who were just like this, just massive pots with, you know, crap hands, and like just guy wanted to just and I was getting no hands and getting pushed around when I sort of got a piece of something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
the Swiss guy once on like a king jack flop, he bet. You know, the turn was a queen. I had jack 10.
Yeah.
And again, just bet sizing, just like always a pot size or over the pot size. But it was like king jack. He bet. I called. Queen on the turn. He bet. I called. And then the river was like a deuce. And, you know, I don't know, I'll say there's 500 in the river, and he bet 500, or, you know. And like I said, this was kind of like my last buy-in. You know what I mean? I'm like, at some point, if all I need is a nutty hand. So I kept using that as an excuse to fold. And I folded, and he showed like 6-4.
Ugh.
And it needed to be a call, I think. I don't know. I just wasn't playing well. And the funny thing, this guy was like the nicest guy in the world at first when he was winning a lot, and then he was buying everyone drinks and stuff. But then he was really drunk and started losing some pots. And after this hand, he even started like mocking me. It's like, how could you not even call there? You don't know what you're doing. I'm like, a few people said, I said, dude, you just want a pot off me. You should make you happy. So so there was a couple of hands like that where yeah, it was just frustrating. Like I said, if I got any hands, it didn't really matter how like inactive I was. You know what I mean? People were just gonna make massive bets anyway. So I was kind of nursing the stack. I was down to like 12 or 1,300. Trying to think of this. Oh, there was one where I was just playing so few hands, like this 55-year-old Arab dude. He was like 3-betting every hand. So I did my little back raise thing where this guy's 3-bet to 95 after somebody made it 20 and a couple people called or something. I made like 115. And I back raised with 10-7 off to 375.
Okay.
And this guy took about a millisecond before shoving all in. And I don't know. I mean, at first I was like, once it happened, I'm like, you know what? He's raising with any cards and he's shoving with any two cards. Like, this would be an interesting slice thing. He literally could have deuce 7.
And what'd you have?
I had 10-7 off. So it seems obviously like an easy fold. I had like 375 in there and I had like 1,300 left.
And what was the board?
There was no board. This is pre-flop.
Oh.
I back raised him, 4-bet him, and I figured, I'd been so inactive. And I think I had just actually raised from early position with kings or something, and everybody folded. And I said, "Are you kidding me?" And I showed my hand. I said, "This is." And one guy's like, "Well, if you only play one hand an hour,
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I was.
So
that
they
guy.
are noticing. Yeah.
So, anyways, but afterwards, I mean, I honestly tanked, thinking, just out of frustration. I said, maybe I should call with the 10-7. I said, he really honestly could have like 5 high here. He's shoving. I said, he probably never has aces or kings or queens. So it'd be interesting to run for a slice. Any two hands, I mean, I don't know. Well, I'm not even going to do the math here, but, probably getting 3-2 on my money. I probably actually have 40% equity in this hand. I don't know. But I'm like,
I don't know. You still have 10 high. I mean,
I know.
Is it suited or?
It seemed, no.
No, okay. Well, let's see. I got Slice open right now. Let's see what. Let's see.
I don't even. I mean, let's just. But like at first, I'm like, well, that was just stupid. He's always shoving. He's not gonna. He doesn't care if I mean, like I said, he was just like we'd already seen him 5-bet shove another guy with like turnover like 9-6 or something like that. People love showing the bluffs here when they're bluffing, and it's happening all the time. And obviously, I'm like, well, I'm again, let's wait for a hand. I said, if I'm dominated, I said, but maybe I'll suck out. I'm like, I said, I've got 2 live cards 95% of the time here, Anyways, I honestly was thinking of making just a spite call, and I'm like, well, I said, go ahead, show me your 9 high. I folded, and he flipped over and showed 6-5 off.
Okay.
So I had him dominated.
Wow. You know what?
That
is really surprising to me. Okay, I just ran 10-7 off versus everything except aces, kings, and queens, and you're 48-51.
Exactly. I think.
Wow. Okay, I had no idea. I thought you'd be like 30%.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh yeah. No. It's if you take the top of his range out, which for some reason just his smile. He was so happy to put me in this spot with his crap hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's more like 9 high hands than and lower than there are king high hands, king to jack high hands. There's you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's probably a call. It would have felt ridiculous. But yeah, I'd have to do the math. There's probably let's just say there was I had to bet 1,200 to win a pot of 1,900. So it was even better than 3-2. Would be my guess here. But I thought I was rewarded. This isn't a bad beat story. I'm just telling it. But then, like seriously, like a minute later, I get aces. Again, people were 3-betting in just to ridiculous sizes too. You know what I mean? So I just limped under the gun, and some guy made it like 65.
Okay. And this is 5-5, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This was the old dude who just had to see every flop.
Yeah.
So I made it 250.
Okay.
And he called.
Of course.
And the flop was king 8 deuce. I bet 250. He called, and the turn was the like a 6 or something. So king 8 6 deuce, and I bet like whatever 400, and not more than that. I bet like 650. I mean, I'm basically all in there at this point. And of course he snap shoves over me for whatever. I call another $100. I'm like, okay, 2 pairs good, but no, he had a set of 8s.
Ugh.
So and then I was gone. And yeah, I'm not going to give a specific bad beat, but I'm just going to say there just hasn't been a time where that I can even remember where I was the guy who was just running hot and winning it up, and this would have been a perfect night for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where where it's just like, for God's sakes, you know what I mean? And nobody deserves anything in poker, but it's like, can't I just have one of those nights? And
sometimes you just can't beat a drunk. Sometimes you just
yeah,
can't
but
beat
like I said, well, a lot of times I had a piece of a flop and I was folding the best hand too, so my nittiness is, you know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know. It was just really frustrating. And now I won't talk about the dollars, but I will, looking through my Poker Dominator where I keep track of everything. I mean, I have talked about how I've lost, bricked 18 straight tournaments. But in between some of those tournaments, I had cash sessions where I had wins, blah, blah, blah. For a while there, like so I was kind of breaking even. But anyways, between tournaments and cash is just sessions. I've had 19 straight losing sessions of poker. Like that's like 10 straight tournaments. I think 10 of those are tournaments and 9 of them are cash. So, I don't know. Can I blame that on variance?
I'm remembering back to when we had our episode with Mark, and he's like, we were talking about this, and he's like, no, you just got to look at your game. He's like, variance can only go so far, but when you, when you're having sessions like that, you gotta stop and reevaluate and study. And
right.
That's what's going through my head right now.
Right. I agree. I mean, cash, I'm lost. I mean, it's like I just need good cards to win. But yeah, I don't know. My tournament game, I still feel pretty confident in. I mean, the one hand that haunts me from my long tournament cold streak is, like I said, the one in the 1K where I had just an ass load of chips, and I ended up 6-bet folding king 4 off, I think it was.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one hand where I'm like, what was I thinking? You know what I mean? But certainly for the most part, my tournament game, even when it's a bad, is a B game. My game, my C or D game in tournaments is like the B game of, whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, hopefully this will be the benefit of the job, like you say. I mean, I probably just shouldn't play cash at all. I guess I'm just not good. Or like I said, if I want to just play some 2-3. And actually, I was kind of embarrassed about the thought of going back to 2-3. But there's this young kid there who's like 21. For a while there, he was just balling at this casino. He was playing 10-20.
Wow.
And he lost a $19,000 pot at 10-20, where he flopped the set of aces and just let the guy hit at like 2-4 and hit a gutter ball in the river. And he let the guy bet. He let the guy check raised him on the flop, and he just bet, jammed. And this was like 3 or 4 months ago. Okay. But I think you could tell he was slowly. I know he borrowed a couple thousand from another player there. It's kind of funny how we all know each other's business.
Yeah.
But I saw him grinding a 2-3 the other night. One guy's like, "What is this?" I won't say his name. What's he doing over there? I'm like, "Well, I think he's really running real bad." And you can tell he's kind of sheepish when he does, like, he doesn't want to walk by the 5-10 table or the 5-5 table, I think, and say hi to everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's doing the right thing. And the other night he came from the 2-3 and he didn't even move to the 5-5. It looked like he had about 1,600 in his rack.
Oh, good for him.
And he came over and he did say hi to everyone, and I saw him cash out. So, and this guy's real solid, but I mean, you never know exactly how big his bankroll was, or if he was being irresponsible. He strikes you, even though he's 21. Is just kind of like Jacob and Doug and stuff. He knows the whole world. It's not just like this guy's trying to roll it up. He probably was pretty decent with bankroll management. It's just he just hit a rough patch, and so anyways, I got his phone number. Maybe he's another person I should call for a pep talk, maybe. But yeah, cash, I'm just not good. I guess that's all there is to it. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's. I go back to the one guy there who I mentioned a couple times is like probably the best player there. He's been playing online at Bovada sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Man, can we Skype? Can I watch it?" He's like, that's got to be the most boring thing in the world. I'm like, "No, actually,
it's not."
I actually spend a lot of time just watching other people play poker. I'd love to, see how you do stuff. And anyways,
play cash or tournaments on Bovada?
Cash.
Cash. Okay.
And like I said, even if to win, like if he's beaten 1-2 and 2-4 in Bovada, that means like you're a pro to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I know how tough those games are.
Yeah.
And so anyways, he was kind of dismissive of the idea there, not to just it struck him as strange. Anyways, you know what I mean? Why would? So yeah, I mean, like right now, the plan is just to, like I said, get my job on here, and hopefully, I'm really just outraged that I still have not got a check from Carbon Poker. I put a request in February 14th.
Whoa.
And I think they say 4 to 6 weeks. So I guess, it's one of those things they're going to wait till the very last day of it's going to be March 30th that they're going to send it out. And
have you tried calling him?
I've gotten the chat room and I've said, listen, I think on their site, I have like $270,000 in caches. Would there probably 8%, so I'm probably, I have whatever, probably, so 210,000 in buy-ins. And I'm like, well, I'm doing the math. I said, well, you guys have probably gotten $15,000 to $20,000 in rake just off I said, I'm like, I got to be honest. I could really use, is there any way that you could speed things up and get this, not only this check, but so I don't have to wait another 6 weeks for another one. Can I get, check here,
Yeah.
I will, and of course, the person I'm actually speaking to is not even from Carbon Poker.
No, it's some guy in India. Right?
You know what I mean? It's like it's some guy who's handling this sort of traffic for 100 different sites. He's also probably answering questions about my hotel bill or something.
Yeah. Well, do you have any hands? I pulled up a bunch. I played a grip of tournaments over the last week or so, and I've got some hands up on Hold'em Manager if you want to go over a few.
Sure.
Okay. This one.
I have just one hand. I didn't. I figured you'd be more meticulous and have a few for us, hopefully.
Yeah, I think this might be kind of interesting because.
Okay.
I've got one. I played in a what the hell was it? It was I had like 3 tables up, and then there was one real quick. I'm looking to fill the space of the 4th table on my screen, and I found a little $5 turbo, and that's perfect. So I put it in there and ended up shipping second.
Nice.
So yeah, that was kind of cool. That basically paid for the night, but yeah, the first hand is pretty early on. I've got ace-7 of clubs in the big blind. Under the gun limps, we all basically have starting stacks of 1,500. I've got a little bit less than that. The other 2 guys have me covered, but we're within 100 of each other. 25-50 or 20-40.
20-40 of the book.
20-40, yeah. So under the gun limps, we're only 6-handed. Small blind calls. I've got ace-7 of clubs in the big blind. I thought about raising here just to take it down, but then I elected to check. And this is one of those hands where you flop the world, the flop comes down 7-7 ace. So I've got everyone completely crushed. And it's all about how do I get the most out of this hand.
Sure.
It's one of those. And the small blind checks, and then it's on me. Are you betting at this point? There's 120 in the pot, 3 big blinds. And there's no way anyone's got you unless under the gun or small blind limped with aces. So, you're just trying to get it in here,
Right. I think you can make an argument for both. I mean, I don't know how. It's one of those things where you might not be getting $1 from anyone if they don't have an ace.
Yeah.
But if they have an ace, you want to like sort of build the pot. You might even get, I think you got to check because you'll at least get, hopefully, at least a C bet.
Yeah. Okay.
So you at least get that one. You'll get that at least that 80 chips. I mean, if you call, there's not going to be, if he doesn't have an ace or anything else. But I mean, you never know the villain at this point. I don't know if you got a lot of hands on him, but
no, just
if you're playing against some jackass like me who's just going to keep betting here, always put you on some sort of crappy hand like, oh, I'm going to get him to fold those pocket threes. Yeah, I think a check would makes the most sense.
Okay. Yeah, I figured the same thing for pretty much the same reasons, and so I check, and then under the gun bets 103 into a 120. So pretty much what I was hoping for happened. The small blind folded, unfortunately, and I call the 103. And then we go to the turn,
Quickly though, what we didn't discuss is the possibility of a check raise there,
Oh yeah.
because your check raise might be your calling range, to a player might be stronger than your check raise range, where you could be just repping trips.
Okay.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Because especially if there's these HUD masters where, like, for me, that's a hand, especially like playing the $200 tournaments where, like, a lot of the best players there are going to, like, play it would play their sevens super aggressively, because they could do that with crap too.
Yeah. Okay.
And because you are really almost the only one who could have a 7 in their range. The small blind should have the small, well, I don't know, it's a limp pot, you know what I mean? But, 6-handed, but, like, it's one of those things where, even if I had an ace, if I was an early position raiser with ace king, and it went check on that board, I would check it probably, 3/4 of the time.
Just to make them think you don't have an ace, and then you might get more action on later streets.
Yeah, well, I don't want to play a big pot, because what if somebody's defending with what if I get check raised here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think they don't have it, and I think I'd have to maybe go with my ace king, but or you know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, I think the call is fine. I'm just throwing that out there. Especially if there's a dynamic where you had, like, a really aggressive table, you play the stone cold nuts like you'd play the bluffs there. You know what I mean? But I think, if you ran this as a simulation 100 times, the most profitable play would be just a flat here and hope he, likes the turn card or just keeps barreling.
Okay. I do that. I like to call. And then the board is the turn is the 4 of spades. So we got 7 of hearts, 7 of diamonds, ace of diamonds, 4 of spades.
Okay.
And are you checking here? Are you betting? Or that card couldn't have helped him, I wouldn't think. I was kind of hoping for, like, a king or a queen or something, maybe. But then maybe if you had king queen, he floated with that or something, or.
Yeah, he would at least call the river bet if he checks back here.
Yeah.
I would probably. I know just from, like, playing hands too. A line that always drives me nuts when someone defends from the blinds and c-bets, and I actually have, and then leads out on the turn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially if it's, like, small. Like, I would, like, almost not care what my hands are. I would be, like, pissed off and, like, or what? I would not be pissed off. I would just be like, no. You're not trying that crap with me. And, like, raise them. You know what I mean? If you bet 90 chips here or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, would he? I don't know. Yeah. At this point, I think when we're value targeting here, in the brokest way, I think we're really targeting air. You know what I mean? Like, how do I get him to put more chips in with? Which would really that argument would mean checking. Both street. I would be checking here and even probably checking the river.
Yeah.
If you have, I think checking is probably the play, but I'll just throw that out there. The call the flop, donk lead the turn, on some damn card which could not possibly help you. Is a way that is a line that people will take with crap and with their nutty hands too. So. Yeah.
Okay.
But what'd you do here?
I ended up checking. I thought I was thinking the same thing after Andrew Brokos's value targeting. I was thinking, I'm hoping he's got, like, he limped with ace 10 or something here, and maybe I can maybe he's going to bet, and he did. He ended up betting 163 into a 326. What is that? That's half pot. So he must have clicked half pot. And at that point, I thought, okay, if he does have an ace here, I think I can get a little bit more from him. And but what's your thought? Do you raise at this point, or do you just call, or?
Probably just call. If you raise, it's got to be. Well, of course, you're so shallow in this tournament, 1,500 chips. If it's going to raise, it's definitely like just the click back min raise.
Okay. That's what I did. I did the click back. I
Okay.
did the 326. I don't know if last week from Joe LaPinta was in my mind here, or I did it on the wrong street. But I yeah, that's what I did. I clicked it back and then he folded, and I'm like, oh, maybe I missed something there. Maybe I should have just called and then checked the river again and hope he tools out, or I don't know. Maybe he didn't have anything. Maybe he had like 8-9 of nothing, and he was just trying to take it down, and then he finally got caught. Or
Right. I think that's the most likely scenario. Obviously, you got the ace blocker. Did he snap fold?
I don't
Do you
remember. I don't
Okay.
remember.
I would probably call, and I would. I mean, again, I don't know how much of this timing shit works though, but I would use like almost my I would use. I would wait. I would. I would almost time out calling, or maybe not that long, but I would
Yeah.
take a long time to call, making it look like I'm sitting there with pocket fours, and again, I don't even know if that's mattered. I mean, if you call here, he should not be betting the river, even with ace king.
Okay.
So you really should not be getting any chips out of him, whether it's, but you might, like I said, if you take your time, like, oh geez, hemming and hawing. Or on the other hand, the snap call is like, well, you're not doing that. He would also say, well, you're not doing that with the nuts. The snap call looks like you got an ace.
Yeah, or
So
like
he
a
might,
flush draw or something.
well, yeah. So if he, the snap call might also make him value bet the ace jack on the river,
Yeah.
where I don't know. I guess that's just hogwash here, but for some reason, I always feel like there's, I don't know, if I have any special ninja skill, I feel it's the timing of the. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one of your strengths.
But well, somehow there's, when these situations arise, there seems to me there's always an exact amount of, like, I don't know, time of.
Well, like you said before, they're going to when you're talking about the guy reshoving on you, he's not doing that with. He's going to take his time with sevens or eights or nines. He's gonna at least think about it for 2 seconds before making a move, But with ace king there, when you had jacks, that's what he would do with ace king. He just sees ace king. He's like, boom, I'm in. There's no decision. It's instinct,
I mean, I fall for the same. I mean, like a typical thing that I always like, if you flop the nuts. You flop a set from small blind, and like I try to insta check, rather than like, oh good, I had, like, you're taking a second there. Oh, what should I do?
Yeah, okay, that's interesting.
Because if you take a few seconds, it's like, oh, you're thinking of betting.
Yeah.
So like I always do that, and sometimes. And another one I like with a set or with a top two pair on a flush board is someone bets and you insta jam. Even like over jam the pot, and it looks like a flush draw. That's how people play the draws.
Oh wait, when you have what? When you have top two or something, or
let's just say, there's a 9-7 deuce flop, and you got a set of sevens, and someone from early position had raised, and you would call it from the small blind or whatever, deep stacked.
Yeah.
I think I had a hand just like this the other night, where there was just I hit a set, middle set, and they were at the guy c-bet, and let's say there was 1,000 chips in the pot, and I had like 10,000 chips left. It's like, let's just, and I'm gonna insta jam and hope he has an overpair, and it looks like I got a flush. I mean, you're obviously losing value there a lot of times, but I got a call.
Okay.
It was insta jam and an insta call.
Huh.
And like the guy, I had to be on the draw there like 85-90% of the time for his call really to be right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyways, hopefully I'm going to Twitch here, and you can see my stuff. Again, I don't know how much. I mean, everybody, especially the higher buy-ins, I'm playing against good players here. They all know the tricks of. They all have. Nobody's smarter than anyone else, or maybe. But anyways, I do have like my nutty hands. It's not always just the line, but I do have these like weird little thoughts about timing is relevant too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think probably the play on this particular hand would be check. I mean, just called the
check
turn.
Call. Yeah. Okay.
And I think if you were to and I would even be tempted to, if for some reason he checked behind on the turn, Just to throw this, discuss this. Are you betting the river? Do you got to try to get another bet at him, or do you check the river and hope again we're targeting his air and just hoping he tries to steal it and puts you on like something crappy?
I kind of like your line about maybe not quite timing out, but just making it 10 or 12 or 13 seconds, and then make the call on the turn. And then regardless of what the turn is, hopefully it's kind of like a diamond, like a bluffing card for him. And then wait 2-3 seconds and then check the river and then see what he does there. I think that's the best opportunity you got to get him to tool out with a bluff. Maybe I'm being a little results oriented here because he ended up folding when I raised the turn, and so I can be pretty damn sure he didn't have an ace or.
Yeah, if he really probably should not be putting another chip in the pot anyways, is my guess.
Yeah.
On the river. Like I said, if he tanked a little bit when you raise, like that's like to me when I'm playing against. I mean, you never know. I mean, there's so many people who are so balanced, but usually that smallish check raise, especially on the turn, is somebody's got a huge hand. And they're trying to get a little, you know what I mean? So
yeah, they're just trying to get a little bit more. So I was basically setting up for a 2/3 pot shove on the river.
So like I'm always like, especially, but I call there too. If I got ace king, I'm like, God fucking damn it, the guy's got a 7, and I'm gonna call his river, but I don't know. Because it feels, especially if he's got an ace, it just feels ridiculous to fold. If it's when you said you click back, you made it a min raise, right?
I did, yeah. He bet 3 or 126 and 163. I made it 326, so I just clicked it back.
Yeah, like I said, if you just call there and check the river, like there should be like no, if he's got just a single pair with an ace, or if he's got air, he really should not be betting the river at all. But I mean, you never know that if unless you have some specific villain, just cannot give up on a pot. Yeah, so I think you played it fine. I don't think you were getting any more chips from him if he didn't have a hand.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And I doubt you pushed him off an ace with the min raise.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So yeah, I think you probably got the maximum from him then. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, it would have been like if you 3-bet pre-flop. If you think you got a big edge on this table, you like always want to be, maybe you always want to juice the pot a little bit because you're going to outplay him post-flop. But I mean, I think you probably took the right line every step of the way here.
Okay. Well, do you have a hand?
Yeah.
Okay. What you got?
I have a hand here, which is from, again, the same tournament I keep talking about, the weekend merge Sunday super high roller, the 530 buy-in.
Okay.
And once again, I'm in the money. I believe 21 got paid, and we have the money bubble has just burst.
Okay.
And we are 7-handed. And I have 76,440 in chips on the button. The blinds are 1,500 and 3,000, and I have ace 6 off. And it folds to me.
Okay. And you have ace 6 off?
Yes.
So how many pigs is that? 20?
20, yeah, 20, 26, 25 and a half big blinds.
Okay.
Probably the chip. I'm looking at my I'm third in chips at this table, but it's probably maybe just a little under the chip average. I'm guessing the chip average is a little bit higher, but I that information I don't have in front of me.
Okay.
In the blinds are small blind has 58,000, so 19 bigs, and the big blind has 100,000 chips, so 33 and a half bigs. And the villain here, the big blind, I do not have a lot of information on him. I'm looking. He's played a very, very small volume of tournaments on merge, and I cannot remember the VPIP and all that stuff. Unfortunately, I don't have that in front of me. But I would say he seems competent, not overly balanced, not overly aggressive, not overly passive.
Okay, he's not a total fish. He's probably a reg.
No, probably a good player is just starting to play this site.
Okay.
I think I ran deep with him actually in the nightly high roller a couple nights early, which we might have both final tabled or something too. So, So certainly ace-6 is good enough to open here, right?
Oh yeah,
We're
yeah.
opening. We're
Okay.
opening the button here.
And at least my sizing for me at this level is 1500, 3000. You said, right?
Yep.
And you got 76K.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, my sizing here would be 6666. Like what would that be? 2.2, something like that.
Um. Well, would you fold to the small blind shove, who's got 19 big blinds? If
Yeah.
I am, which I am here, then I think there's really no reason for anything other than a min raise. But well, I min raise, so I'm just defending.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know if usually the button. I've been kind of goofing around with some button raises. It's a min raise, or sometimes if it's an active three better in the blinds, it's like 3.5x or something weird.
Really?
Like I would actually make it like 9,200, which is like, go ahead, you want a three bet fold, basically not giving them the option to three bet fold. I
Okay.
mean, they still can if they think I'm screwing around, and obviously you got to be balanced and do that and stuff. Um, I remember doing that with late in the 160K a few times. I don't know. It just came to me.
Okay.
I think there was a guy. There's a couple heavy three betters to my left, and I think once I raised like one of those raised king 10 with 27 big blinds. It's and then they get three bet, and it's like, well, geez, I'm ahead of his 3-bit range, but I really want to go in with it, kind of thing. Um, yeah, I guess that's a whole nother discussion for bet sizing. But for some reason, I started doing that. I started like depending on the stack sizes. If the guy has like if the guy's got like 20 to 25 big blinds, and you make it um, yeah, it's just hard for them to shove light, I think, or three bet fold. But
That's
anyways, here.
interesting. And is it working? The 3.5x? I've never tried that.
Yeah, it came to my. I mean, it's not like a literally really part of my game. I think I did it like 3 times in a row, though. All of a sudden in one tournament, and I'm like, okay, this is something I'm going to do some more here.
Okay. Okay.
Um, yeah, I think because we were just listening to the Doug Leifert episode too. There was like I was describing how there was all these really borderline situations I kept running into in the $500 tournament that I crapped out. This was a few weeks ago when I made the very dubious shove, 23 the squeeze shove with the pocket fours. I don't know if you remember that hand. And I
Yeah.
was describing how there was all these hands where I'd three bet ace jack suited with like 25 big blinds, and the guy would shove.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm calling with ace queen, but it was always like the worst or the best hand that I would, fold or call with, and
Yeah. You were at the top of your folding range, and yeah. Okay. Yeah.
so anyways, I thought I don't know. Again, I'm sure there's a million reasons. I mean, if I went 3.5x, I don't know if I'm mathematically committed to the small blind. I think, but if they each had 30 big blinds, I kind of like the bigger raise, but either like a min raise or something big. I don't know. But anyways, I decided to min raise here,
Okay. Okay.
and small blind folds, and the big blind calls.
Okay.
And
What do you have in the pot at this point with all the antes and everything?
there is 15,600 in the pot.
15.6K. Okay.
And the flop is a rainbow flop, ace 9 5.
I can see where this is going. Okay.
So I have top pair.
Yes.
What the hell does that mean, Steve?
Well, this is one of those scenarios. You flop top pair and a weak kicker, and you're put to the test.
Yeah, so, sort of.
Oh, okay. All right.
The big blind checks, and maybe I'm thinking along with your is that without his if he's got crap, I'm not probably getting a lot of chips from him. If he's got any sort of pair, he's probably raising.
Yeah.
Getting it in. So here he could have an ace, or I mean, he could certainly have like king 9 suited, or somehow got a piece of 5-6 suited, I suppose. But yeah, I'm kind of thinking like you. I don't want all my chips going in here, but I think the check is good because it increases the chances of him bluffing and me getting paid. Yeah, basically, I'm thinking if he's got the only thing I'm getting called by almost on the flop is an ace.
Yeah.
But I mean, he could try to float and then just steal it on the turn, or still on the river if I check the turn. But anyways, I thought I like checking here because it maximizes me getting the chance to get paid off with his crap hands.
Yeah, I think you could either, well, at least two routes that I might go is bet small on the flop, check back the turn, and then bet the river. Or you could check the flop, and this is a move I've been doing lately, is checking the flop when I have an ace like that. And then either calling his bet on the turn because he doesn't think you have an ace, or if he checks, then you bet, and then you bet the river. I think on this, if he doesn't have an ace, you're probably only going to get two streets of value at the most.
Right.
And yeah, if he's sitting there with something like king queen or something like that, he may try to float you. But I kind of like the move of checking the ace on the flop. I've been doing that more often, and it seems like I'm getting paid off a lot more when they don't have it. You know.
Right.
You know, they look me up with like 5-4 or something for bottom pair, and they just don't tend to believe you if you check it on the flop. It is what I found. So
Right.
I like a check back there.
Okay. Well, that's what I do. As I said, I check the flop, and the turn is another ace of spades.
That's a pretty card.
So we have trips.
Okay.
Board is ace 9-5 ace, and he checks.
He checks again. Okay. We got the same amount in the pot, 15.6K. Big blind checks. Yeah, I like a bet here. And just because now he's even less likely to put you on an ace because another one came out there.
Sure.
And, yeah, as far as sizing.
If he's floating, his king high might actually be good.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's see, 15.6 in the pot. Maybe something like 6666, 7777, something like less than half pot, almost like you're just trying to steal it cheaply or fold to a re-raise, something that looks kind of like that, you know?
Right.
Maybe even smaller than that. Maybe even 5555. Nah, that looks too valuey. I think I'd probably go 6666.
I kind of decided to go the other way and bet pretty big and make it look like, I'm trying to scare him off and steal it, like like I'm trying to maybe push him off second pair or something.
Okay.
Trying to make it look strong, and I don't know. I mean, on the other hand, if we're targeting a 9, a middle pair, what to get paid from,
That's what I'm thinking. If he's got something like 10-9, then
I don't know. I mean, it's the same. If he thinks I'm full of crap, doesn't he call 10,400, which is what I bet, as much as he calls 6666? Does he make that distinction?
if he's a good player, like you say, yeah, he probably would call that. I'm trying to put myself in his shoes, and if somebody bet there,
I think he got a call with any pair there.
yeah, okay,
Reevaluate the river, even pocket fours or something if for some reason he has that.
okay. What'd you bet? You bet 10.4.
Yep.
Okay.
And Plover Me Aces, the name of this guy, whatever the heck that means. He calls.
Okay.
So what do we make of that call there?
As far as ranging him, I would say that's a 9, maybe even a 5. Would he check again when the ace comes if he had 10s, jacks, kings, or queens? He would probably re-raise with kings or queens out of the big blind.
There's now, for whatever reason, there is 2 spades on the board. So for some reason, he had king jack of spades and just caught the flush draw.
That's a good
I
point.
think
Okay.
that's about the only non-paired hand he could have.
Okay, so he could have a flush draw. He could have a
Here, if
9.
this would certainly help if I had like if I had more history and more stats on him, like the percentage of big blind defense. If he's only defending his big blind, 25% of the time, then he's not going to have that many flush card combinations in his hand, kind of thing, and probably not many fives.
Yeah.
So I don't really have that, but
Now, what about
I
like
was kind
sixes
I
through
was kind of
eights?
I was kind of 6s to 8s.
Yeah, 6, 7s, and
Um,
8s. You think you'd?
I think again, I don't remember his 3-bet percentage. I think it was to the higher end. I mean, I think 7% plus. I could be wrong. I wish I knew, but certainly if I'm him there, I think I'm I think I'm 3-bet calling with 7s and 8s. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Pre-flop.
Okay.
Maybe twos, threes, fours, fives, sixes. It's like you're kind of set mining, even though it's.
Okay.
Um,
So we're probably targeting a 9 then, huh?
I'm thinking he's got a 9 here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like Jack 9, 10 9, 8 9, 9 7 maybe?
sure.
Queen
Uh,
9. Well, Queen 9 suited he might call there.
right.
Now, is the 9 a spade? Which ones are the spades?
The ace and the 9.
Ace and the 9 are spades. Okay, so that kind of takes those flush draws
I don't
out.
know. Does he ever call with king high, thinking I just I raise with crap and
He might with King Jack or King Queen or something.
um. But I think, more likely than not, he's got a pair here.
Yeah,
I think at least 80% of his calling range is pairs.
yeah.
With maybe a couple floats, um, and a couple flush draws. But most likely, I think he's got a pair.
Okay.
The river is the 8 of hearts.
You got
So the
hearts.
final board is ace 9 5 ace 8.
Okay.
If for some reason he had 6 7 of spades, he just hit the gutter ball. Um,
What's the total pot right now?
the pot right now is 36,400.
36.4K. And what do you have left in your stack?
Let me see. I would have about 60K left in my stack, I guess.
Okay, 60K. Okay. Does he check or does he bet?
He checks.
Okay, of course. And now, what is the perfect amount to bet? Hmm.
You're definitely betting here.
Well, I'm trying to think of. I hadn't thought of checking. Um. Okay, he's checked every single street.
Yes.
He's the. He's only called you on the turn.
I mean, if for some reason he had a monster like Ace 9, if he had the nuts here, is he checking the river? I guess if he's targeting my air, if he thinks I'm full of it, if he's got an ace, I guess checking would be his. Or if for some reason he had pocket fives.
Okay.
I firmly put him on a 9 at this point
Yeah,
when he checks.
that's what I think we should target
So
right there is a
yeah,
9.
I mean, I'm thinking it's a 9. And again, my bet sizing, I was thinking very similar as I have on the turn. If he has a 9, he's almost gonna have forced to call me. I mean, not really, but especially the 8 is essentially a brick if he's got the 9-10 suited. If he has a 9, so I'm thinking if he's going to call a bet of 15,000, he's going to call a bet of
22 or
yeah.
that was my sizing. What I was thinking was 22.
Yeah, I bet 2/3 on the turn, but I didn't want to do quite as much on the river, but it's pretty close. I bet 22,333. So almost 2/3 pot.
I was thinking 2-2-2-2-2.
Okay. So and a bet where I'm hoping to get called,
Yeah.
and I did by ace 10.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would have
Wow.
to.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
First of all,
didn't.
do you like how he played it? Shouldn't he be? Would he shove the river there? I guess not.
Shoving would be such an overbet. I mean, what you have, you got to call.
He's getting called, but he's only getting called by a full house, or the only thing he could be targeting would be a weaker ace. Unless I'm never folding ace jack there or something. But yeah, I mean, I think he played it fine. I'd say he got max value here. So he wins a pot of 81,066 chips. And after this hand, I was taken down to 11 or 12 big blinds, and I went out a few hands later. Ace queen, I shoved ace queen suited and ran into kings.
Hmm.
So I went out 19th in the high roller again, the super high roller, which I seem to cash I think 6 weeks in a row, but
Always just short of the real money, huh?
no meaningful score in that interim.
Huh. Damn, he had ace 10. I can't believe that. I did not put him on an ace.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I played the hand horribly. I guess you could say the river. I don't know. I mean, I think 22. You could say 22,000. You're only getting called by worse, but I think I am getting looked up by the King Nine there. I could be wrong.
I think you are too. I think you're getting looked up by 8-9, 10-9, Jack 9,
If for some reason
Queen
he did,
9, King 9.
yeah, even pocket sevens. If for some reason he didn't three bet some pocket pair.
Yeah, pocket 10s.
Um,
Probably Jacks, Queens, and Kings. I would assume he's three betting you 90% of the time. So I'm almost taking those out of his
right.
range.
Yeah.
But
Kings definitely
10s,
jacks and queens. Kings maybe he flats, just hoping the ace doesn't come and he can. But yeah, I don't know. I think I played it okay. I mean,
man, that's pretty ballsy for him to check the river there.
but if I went along your way of betting like 40% and bet 6,000 on the 6,800 whatever on the turn, then there'd be 30,000 on the river, and I would have bet 13.5 on the river. So I would have had about 19,000 invested instead of 32,000. I would have saved 13,000, 4.5 big blinds. Of course, my card still would have, my hand still, I still would have had all my chips in there with ace queen suited, certainly seven handed. So I guess it wouldn't really matter. But this is one of those things where I'm like, should I find the hero check on the river there?
I don't think so, man. I think he's looking you up with a 9. I think if for whatever reason he didn't three bet kings or 10s, I think he's looking you up there. Possibly 7s or 6s. I don't know. That's pretty ballsy to make a call there with 7s or 6s, unless he puts you on something like King Jack, King 10, King Queen, and you're just full of it. Man,
Obviously, I'm kind of one-outed there essentially. So I think I played the hand okay, just unlucky. I had another. I get this is one of those we try to mention hands where the situation comes up a lot, and I had the other one the other day where I had three bet ace king against a guy, and flop the world. I had ace king of diamonds and it was ace and two diamonds, and I bet flop. Bet turn. It was ace two six of diamonds, but the turn and the river I did not hit my flush were a 10 and a jack.
okay.
So he called the flop, called the turn. I don't know the thing, and he checked the river, and I pretty much said, okay, he's got ace queen, ace 10, and ace jack in his range.
Yeah. Beating one of those and losing to the other two.
Or so like on the river, I thought there was. I made a very nitty check on the river. Basically, I checked the ace king behind him, and he had ace queen.
Okay.
So I lost out on a lot of value there. I think. I mean, he was going to call my river. I can't remember again. I mean, I remember at the time thinking, well, Jesus, he's got to call the river shove. He'd be getting 2-1 in his money. Blah blah blah. So I was really ticked off at the time there that
I think that's a good check back.
but some of the times he is if he hit two pair on the turn, he's probably check raising, but he could have, if he hit the two pair on the river, he's probably checking maybe.
Well, you said there's 3 diamonds on the flop, right?
No, two diamonds. I had two diamonds in my hand. I flopped the ace. It was ace. I had ace king of diamonds, and it was ace 6-2, 6-2 of diamonds.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant there was 3 diamonds on.
So
the
no.
Okay.
So I had just the monster.
Top pair with the nut flush.
So
okay.
no. So he would not be worried about the. I think ace queen is the more likely holding than ace 10 or ace jack there, and that was just one of those spots where we have these. They talk about the hero check, where that one I thought I was maybe, preserving my. I think, again, this might have been late stages of a pretty big tournament. But at the time, I was just pissed off at myself. Like, I'm like, he's got the ace queen there every damn time. How could you, I failed to get full value. But, so here, it'd be, if I didn't bet the river and he had ace deuce, well, actually, we would have chopped, because my 6 would not have played on this board there with the 9 and the 8. But or if he had a 9, if I check back and he obviously had a 9, I'd be like, well, for God's sakes, of course he's got that. Of course he's got a 9, and of course he's calling my river. Yeah, at the time I was totally, let's cut. What do we do? We need to do to get max value. I really wasn't even thinking about the ace, although.
I wasn't either. I didn't mention it the whole time. I'm like, well, he doesn't have an ace. I guess maybe subconsciously I was thinking he would 3 bet you with an ace, especially something as good as ace 10.
What if he shoves the river there? That's an interesting one.
I think
Do,
he.
do we find a fold with 13 big blinds left?
No, I don't think so. Not with as much. With
We
the,
just gotta accept our fate there. If he's got freaking pocket eights somehow, if he hit his set on the river, if he hit a boat on the river.
damn, that's interesting. I mean, I don't know. What would you be getting, like 4-1 or something? I don't see how you could fold. What are you beating at that point, though? Only a bluff.
Yeah, pretty much. But we actually had one of those the other night. Remember, you were we were playing together at the same time, and some guy hit. I had trips on the river, and the guy overshoved the pot. I don't know if you remember this. There was 3 to a flush on there. The 3 to a flush had gotten on the turn, and I'm like, I got to fold, and you're like, I don't know, man. You got trips. He's got a lot of bluffs in his range. Your hand's under repped. I think I played the hand pretty passively, and maybe check called the first street, and there was like, this was a real turnaround for me in the 160K where I went from an average stack to one of the big stacks, and then, ended up going out. What did I go out? 26th place here. I'm looking at my results.
Did you call? I can't remember the hand.
I called and I was right. He had second pair.
Oh, okay, cool.
I don't know if it was So, but I gave you credit at the time because I was like, Steve, I think I got to fold here. I got to preserve my 30 bigs or whatever it was at the time. And you're like, I would call. You got trips. What are you gonna, if you're beat, you're beat.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I just thought this was.
Yeah, that's an interesting spot. It. I did not put him on an ace. Yeah, I thought he had a 9. I thought you were gonna say he had 10-9 and you won the pot.
Yeah, I mean, it sucked. If for some reason that's what he had, and I would have had, I don't know, at the end of this, I would have had 127,000 in chips and probably been, third or fourth in chips in this tournament. And, I'm going to ship this thing pretty soon, hopefully.
I'm surprised he only called. Why wouldn't he raise there? Maybe he figures if you call this raise, then you've got him beat. I don't know.
I like his call. I mean, if he shoves, he's like, I've probably, yeah, I like his call. I don't know. If he shoves, he's probably, it turns out that I have one of the few hands where he does have me beat and I would have called a shove.
Yeah.
But it could be, I mean, I could have an ace jack or an ace queen there.
Yeah, or ace king.
He's he's got a lot of chips. If for some reason he did not have the best hand at the end here, if I had ace jack and he had lost the hand, he still has 60,000 in chips and 20 big blinds, and he's got some chips to play with. So yeah, I like how he played the hand.
Yeah. That's an interesting spot.
I don't know if we want to quickly do one more or if we.
Yeah. Do you have another one?
Well, this one we discussed, so I don't know if it's so. It won't be mystery to you, but you can. Again, this is I'm always kind of in some level bringing up the same hand, which is a late big buy-in tournament hand, which is, but this is the difference between, these are the hands I need to play right if I want to go from an ROI of 30 to 60 kind of thing, which is sort of my goal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, and these are the hands that come up again and again. So quickly, I've been bitching unmercifully about Bovada Poker here, but I finally had a good run in one of their tournaments the other night, as I told you. This was one of their black chip, whatever their black diamond poker open things.
Yeah.
And a little bit better structure. Things move slowly along. When I made the final table, we were 7 hours in the tournament. And I forget, it was a $150 tournament, 60K guarantee with, they made the guarantee pretty easily, over 400 people in it. And I made the final table. I think I was third in chips when the final table began. And then I kind of spewed off a few chips, but then I think I started the final table like 330,000. But then very passive table. This was my opinion of it. Anyways, I couldn't believe just how sort of straight up people were playing. I guess you could say people are playing smart. There was a couple shorter stacks there. But I was telling you, it was kind of a dream table where it was just like people would defend their, people were just snap folding to flops when I see bet.
Yeah.
There's 2 or 3 times. Once I squeezed a couple guys with like 9-3. That's something I normally try to regardless of how good this juicy the spot is, like avoid that. And then it was like the worst. It was like ace king 5 flop or something, and I c bet, and they both snap folded. So basically, with no cards, I started chipping up. Even though I started with a little over 300 and got to 280, I think without even showing my hand, just with like opening and like 3 bets and folds, I was the chip leader with 7 to go. I had like 481,000 in chips.
Okay, what were the blinds? Do you remember?
They were 5,000, 10,000.
Oh, you got a good stack at a Bovado.
So 48, yeah. The chip average was 277,000. So 28 bigs was the average here. So yeah, these specific tournaments they run a little deeper, I guess. And again, but the way I've described this, you can already tell that I'm like, I should not be gambling at this point. Should be my mindset. I can slowly just grind down this table using people. The pay jumps are pretty decent here. The first place is like 13.5, second place 85, third place 7, that kind of.
Yeah.
So people have to be. I'm only thinking of shipping it, and again, give this hand away is like I just should not be gambling, because I'm just going to steal so many pots here, in my opinion.
Okay.
7-handed, I get UTG +1. I get ace queen off.
Ace queen off. Okay.
And at this point, it's almost arbitrary when I'm just min raising and when I'm just putting numbers in. I mean, There's really no reason not to do 21,666, but I just made it 20,000. I can't really I mean, yeah, I guess if you're with a good hand, you're not minding if they defend from the blinds here really that much. Maybe if you make it a little bigger, they're less likely to defend. And that would be actually an excellent justification for making 3 bets and opening bets a little larger now that I think about it on this final table. If I feel like people are just passive, which they're just folding too much, making too many folding errors post flop, there's no reason not to just make them put more chips in pre-flop.
Yeah.
It's the first time I thought about this particular table. It would make sense to make my openings, 26,000 here, because the big blinds, the blinds are going to call sometimes. The buttons are going to call. They're always going to fold if they don't have a hand. Maybe I'm being too harsh here, but like.
No, I do that. I mean, like if people are folding to my c bets that often, then I just up my c bet, and I up. Normally at these levels, I would do 22,222, and make it 2.2, and then
we'll do it the other way around, and it like increase the pre-flop bets, but the c bets can even be smaller.
Exactly,
because they're only going to
continue if they got something,
right?
And so instead of making it 22,222, I'll make it 25,555,
right?
Or 26,666,
right? I mean, there's probably some very good players in this final.
And then you drop your the size of your c bet, because they're either fit or fold, So if they call your bet on the flop, then you can be pretty sure that they got something. If they don't, then they fold. So you don't need to risk as much after the flop, but you're getting more in the pot,
I mean, I might be exaggerating the edge I had in this table, but I remember just like through the first, 20 minutes, 30 minutes in this final table saying, I'm winning this tournament. These guys are just, they're just way too passive, especially as it gets shorthanded.
Yeah.
I'm really going to be stealing a lot of pots. But anyways, I min raised ace queen off, and the hijack in the cutoff fold, and the button insta shoves 241,000.
41K.
So
okay.
24 big blinds. And it folds back to me.
Yeah.
If you want to know just the pot size, I mean, I'm getting 4-3 and a call here. I mean, I need, I think there's 284,000 of the pot, and I have to call 222,000. So it's almost 4-3. I only need like 43 or 44% equity here to make it, I think, probably a plus EV. I haven't done the math. You have a more mathematical approach for some of these things, but anyways, my first instinct was fold. I don't need to gamble, blah blah blah. And well, first of all, just in his range, can we cut off the top of his range? Can we take aces and kings out? Aces,
Insta,
kings,
huh?
and queens.
Insta
Uh,
shoved?
yeah.
Uh, mm,
I mean, if he's sitting
have
there
you
on
seen
aces, he
him
could.
shoved before? Do you remember seeing that guy shoved?
I think of all he was pretty tight. I mean, he definitely like he's never showing up here with 9-10 suited or kind
Okay.
of. I don't think. Yeah, no, he was passive. I would
Okay.
describe it. I would describe them all as passive. But again, I don't actually have the hand history in front of me. I'd have to look. But yeah, for the most part, I felt like everybody at the table was only putting meaningful amounts of chips in if they have it. And here,
They have it.
obviously, he's putting his whole stack in. I mean, for personally, most people are not going to shove ace king there. They're gonna probably try to three bet and deuce. But on the other hand, he should be shoving his full range, I guess.
And I imagine you've been pretty active at the table, right?
Yeah, I've been the
You're
most.
probably the most
I've been
active
the
guy.
most active. Yeah, like I've said, I've three bet probably 4 or 5 times, and once or twice it got shoved on me, and then definitely middle late position opening most pots, especially once I got the chip lead here. Um. Anyways, I talk a lot about if I just follow my first instinct, I'd be better. I'd be like, oh, that's ace king every time. I gotta fold, and like what I said. There's no reason to gamble here.
Yeah, I think his range is looking pretty tight. I'm thinking for insta shove, tens plus, maybe ace queen suited and ace king. I think he's probably going to flat there or maybe three bet with like sevens, eights, probably flatting. If he's passive like that, he's probably going to flat with fives, sixes, sevens, eights, maybe nines, maybe even tens. Maybe he might three bet with that.
I don't know. Yeah, I think
I think it's a
three
fold.
betting with yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean, again, if I'm playing against myself here, then I know the guy's shoving, sevens, eights, nines, tens, jacks. So we got 5 hands we're flipping with, and he's not shoving kings and aces. So we definitely have the 43% equity to make it a. But again, considering the table, which is a major consideration here. We talked to Joe LaPinta, but the one hand, if you remember, where I think there was like 20 left in the tournament. I was like fifth in chips, and the chip leader was on my left, and it folded to me in the small blind, and I min raised with jacks,
Yeah,
and he insta shoved,
yeah,
and I said, well, same thing. I said, well, the guy's got ace king,
yeah,
but Joe was like, well, but if you win, you got, and we talked about how good where the field was, and I looked at the players that were left, and I saw that there was a lot of studs left. A lot of the
yeah,
top players were at the table,
yeah,
and if he shows me ace king face up, that was I even asked, do we call, and he said yes. Your favorite, and you're getting the
yeah.
right
I
price,
would
and it's
call
worth
there
the
every
risk.
time. Yeah,
So that one, the guy did have ace king, and he won. So I was gone. But I mean, that's this tournament. So this one, somehow I talked myself into call, but using like bad rationale. It was just like, well, even if I lose, I still have 20 big blinds left. Or 24 big blinds left. I still got half my stack.
yeah,
Um, which is irrelevant. Of course, you're playing, 24 big blinds versus 24 big blinds is what the battle is. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, and I guess it was, I mean, I've run so bad in Bovada. I mean, I don't know if you'd break this down into a Tendler way. Like the next day you asked me, you're like, were you tired? Were you frustrated? I'm like, no, I was calm. I was totally concentrating. I wouldn't describe it as tilt, but there was a part of me that says, I've run so bad on Bovada here. This is meant to be. I'm just going to win this hand. He's going
Good.
to have tens or jacks, and I'm going to beat him. But my first instinct was ace king, and of course I called, and he had ace king, and it's just asinine. I mean, I mean, I guess we could say this is a borderline spot, but again, with all the factors I've told you, I think it's actually an easy fold.
I think just the fact that the table's been so passive, the insta shove, um, yeah, and like you said, there's going to be
And I'm behind all his other hands other than ace king. Anyways, let's not forget. Even if
Exactly.
mathematically
Yeah,
I'm getting,
that's my point.
I
Is
still have to catch a card. If it's eights, nines, tens, or jacks, I'm still behind.
yeah,
Like if
yeah.
he shows me jacks face up, do I call there? I would say no.
I think now you're looking at no because you only have two big blinds invested. Um,
Even if he shows me, yeah, the bottom of his range there. I
yeah,
mean,
I mean,
eights and jacks are the same, but I guess eights, there's a couple counterfeit possibilities, but still, they're the same hand. If he shows me a pair below ace queen, afterwards, I'm like, I still should be folding. I mean, even if I'm only need 42% equity, let's say, and I'm 47% to win, that's still such a narrow little edge that I don't need to take.
yeah, ICM and all that.
Yeah,
I mean, the only hand you're stoked to see here really is Ace Jack, and I don't think he's doing it with that. You know,
no, no.
he's not doing that with Ace 10 or Ace 9 or
I
Ace 8
mean,
or anything like
I
that.
mean, you never know. I mean, like,
Yeah, you're right. He could be tooling out with Jack 10 suited or something, but
I, I, uh,
I think it's a fold.
I still doing the millionaire maker where I've always bitching because I had all the chips in day two. I just barely just cashed it in. But I remember I opened under the gun with kings, and a guy from the small blind called who had played like, or the big blind defended who had played like three hands in 3 hours.
Yeah.
And the flop was like ace seven deuce, and I'm like, okay, well, he's got a lot of aces there. I'll c bet, and I got to fold to a shove,
Yeah.
and I c bet, and he shoved, and I was so sure I made the right fold. I flipped over the aces, like, yeah, I got lucky, and he's like,
You flipped
not
over the kings.
he's like, no, not really. Yeah, I actually folded face up. I was so confident and
But
wanted to
you
show.
had kings though, right?
I had kings.
Okay. You said
There was an
aces. I
ace.
was like, wait, what?
No, no, no. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Well, I thought I said he has a lot of aces in his range.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay.
it was ace seven deuce, and he had shoved over my bet, and he showed like 7-9,
Wow.
and it was just the villain. I was so 100% positive that he was not making that move without an ace, and like again, the guy had been so passive. So I mean, if we want to defend myself and be sympathetic, we're like, well, you never know what people are doing in tournaments. The guy could have a suited ace, king queen suited. I mean, this is all post justification. It's a fold.
Well, I remember reading in Harrington on Hold'em. He said when he goes through, I think it's his second book, when he goes through all his ranges and stuff, about ranging people and what he raises with in certain positions. He says that he always assigns, no matter what the player is, at least a 10% chance that the guy's bluffing. And he said, no matter who it is, if it's a 80-year-old grandma that just plays the nuts, give her at least a 10% chance that she's bluffing. And he thinks that that's even a little bit low.
Right.
Um,
For like I said, a nitty player in a final table. I don't know but if I can take aces and kings out of his range, if we just think he's never doing with that because he's giving up just so much value, and if I can actually put in the 10% bluff, then I'm actually maybe even 50% against his range. I don't know. It's a fold. I mean,
Yeah, still though, I mean, you got two big blinds invested. I don't think he's doing that with Ace Jack or Ace 10. Like you said, if he's got a pair, you're still behind. Yeah, I think it's a fold.
if they were somehow the under the gun made it 20, and then I just flatted and this guy shoved and the other guy folded, then it's an easy call because you got to expand his range a little bit with the extra chips in there. I'm getting a better price. But no, it's but my little whatever blog entry I did about how I dusted off a stack in the big super high roller a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I said the one hand that was just awful was my ace queen. I opened a guy 3-bet, and I shoved. It was like 40 big blinds or something ridiculous, effective. And the guy, of course, had ace king. And again, that time, I guess I was on happy tilt. I had like 140 big blinds or something like here. Here, I was calm. I guess I was analyzing it, and my first instinct was to fold. And I'm like, well, I kind of did the equity calculation. I'm like, if he's got a bunch of pairs in there, it is a plus EV call. And like at the time, I said, there's no way he has aces or kings. There's only one hand that dominates me, which was the most likely hand for him to have in my mind. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, this is the stuff where I got a lot to learn about the game, But like I feel like if it's just my late game decision making, these top guys are just a little less likely, certainly, to make this kind of call. Like I
Yeah.
can, you know what I mean? I mean yeah, Joe LaPinta, Mark Alioto, all our recent guests, Mr. Triba, Mr. Lyford, they all lay that down, I think.
I think so. I wouldn't beat yourself up too much. It's not like you tooled out here with 10-9 or something, you know. And in game, you know, I mean, we've been talking about this hand for 20 minutes, and in game, you got to make a decision in 20 seconds. And um, yeah, I wouldn't beat yourself up too
but I
much.
played enough. Yeah, I played enough hands. Like I said, if I should always take a mental account of what my first instinct is, because it really is right in these like razor thin decisions. It's right like 80% plus of the time.
Yeah,
It really is.
yeah, it is.
So
It is.
when I don't, like I said, I've played 500,000 hands of poker probably online now. You know what I mean? See the same situations again and again.
Yeah,
And this is a man who has ace kings or jacks, and I'm behind both. One of
yeah,
them one of them crushes me.
yeah. And there's going to be a lot of good spots in the future. Like you said, it's a passive table.
Yeah, this table. I think even regardless of the table, chip lead, get a couple of shorties out, because there's middling stacks we can kind of go after here.
Yeah,
And it really sucks because it's on Bovada too, where I can actually I'm bitching about the payouts, about how the merge I have to wait. We're here, I could if I shipped this, I could have had 13,000 in my pocket within a month, which is for a man who's hurting for money here. This is.
there's something about that first instinct, though. It's like how can I describe it? It's like it gets run through the computer. You know, your subconscious has seen this situation, maybe not this exact hand in this exact spot, but it's seen so many similar ones that you can. It's interesting how you can just come to a snap decision like that. Maybe it's the way the guy was sitting, the expression on his face, the clothes he was wearing. Who knows what it was, but it gets run through the computer and it spits out an answer. And then it's almost like if you take too much time, you can talk yourself out of that. You know, you consciously talk yourself out of it. And there's a great clip from Orson Welles where he talks about that. He talks about cold reading. Maybe I'll put it in at the end of this podcast. But he talks about how he got very good at cold reading, about how fortune tellers are able to do this and make money off it. You know, people walk in and it's something about what they're wearing or the way they're talking. They can just tell that their dad died, and so they look psychic. I think poker players are very similar in that we've seen so many patterns and so many things that you can just instantly come to a decision like that. And it's your subconscious has spit out an answer. And more often than not, it's right.
A famous book written on the subject called Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, which I don't want to do a synopsis of it, but basically talking about how these split-second decisions are not split-second decisions. They deal with our knowledge and or whatever upbringing. I mean, some people split. Let me look this up here for a second. What the reviews say about this book, but basically, and I've heard other poker players talk about this. Like this is like I remember one of them. One of the examples in Blink was like this psychologist who could watch a couple interact in marriage counseling, and with under a minute could predict whether they were going to get divorced or not with like 98% accuracy.
Wow.
I mean, I don't just from like the way they're physically, one of them sitting and this and that, without even like breaking it down, they can like look and tell which. I don't know if my numbers are right, but like like a lot of this is like successful people.
Yeah.
Are immediately able to. Let me see. Blink reveals that great decision makers aren't those who process the most information or spend the most time deliberating, but those who have perfected the art of thin slicing, filtering the very few factors that matter from an overwhelming number of variables. So, anyway, in live poker, this is supposed to be like the people talk about this. It's like people who look stoic are giving. There's little micro emotions, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
If you read that they're weak, blah blah blah, you might have to. I mean, I think I kind of mess around with those things where like I tell myself ahead of time, just act like you love the flop.
Okay.
Think in your mind. If you decided to send the big blind with 7-4, just kind of it can't be overly dramatic, like eyes flashing with joy kind of
Yeah,
stuff, because
yeah,
a thinking player is going to be real skeptical of that. I don't know. Again, like we were talking the other day about some of my timing stuff that I like to do too. I mean, I don't know, but like the edges are so small. If like these little things,
yeah. No, I do the same kind of thing sometimes with false tells. Like if I if I'm defending or whatever, for example, like you said in the big blind, and a guy raises on the button, I call, and then when the flop comes out, like I kind of just ever so slightly, I mean, I don't move more than an inch, but just ever so slightly kind of sit up in my chair and then donk lead. That almost always gets a fold. And there's little,
right?
gestures that you can do. You read all these poker tells books and stuff like that. I've tried and experimented with some of the false tells in there, and they seem to work more often than they don't.
Yeah, I like especially live, like trying to. I mean, of course, I'm not right any more often than anyone else, but when you are, you look really smart. Like I remember once it was like ace ace on a board, and I think I checked right. I think I was bluffing, and the guy took I don't know 20 seconds. I'm like, sorry, yeah. He folded. I'm like, yeah, it's a good fold, sir. Your tens are no good. And he kind
Hmm.
of like flashed and looked at me. He's like, how do you know I had tens? I said, well, if you had jacks, you would have thought 5 more seconds about it, and if you had nines, you would have folded 5 seconds earlier.
Yeah,
Like the timing was whatever. And then
yeah, yeah.
once at a table, the guy, there was two aces on the board, and all checked on the turn. The guy bet small, all checked on the flop. And the guy bet small on the turn. I was the last to fold. I said, sucks when you don't get paid by quads, doesn't it, sir? I folded, and he turned over the two aces, the quads, and the whole table was looking at me like, oh, did he?
You
I,
soul read him.
yeah, I
That's
don't know,
cool. That's
but
cool.
maybe in live poker, maybe this is one of my edges there. I don't know. Maybe I can read people a little better, but yeah, I don't know. Um, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, Blink is a book, especially how you're very interested in how people motivate themselves and other stuff. I don't know. I think Malcolm Gladwell might actually be a writer you find interesting.
Yeah, I'd have to read that book.
I've read a couple of his books.
Have you read the book Influence?
Robert Cialdini is who wrote
Yeah,
that one.
Cialdini or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
That had some that had some. Yeah, I did read that.
that was an
I'm trying to
interesting book.
remember. Yeah, there was some weird stuff. Is that where I loved how he talked about the Moonies at the airport?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Was he talking about that where it's like just all these social contractual things you don't think about?
Yeah,
It's like basically if they get the flower in your hand, people were like 300% more likely to give them money
yeah,
because
yeah,
they've given you something you're obligated.
yeah. He calls it the law of reciprocation.
Oh,
So
I
like
thought
if
it was so people would say no, no, don't give me the flower. They're walking around, but if somehow they got the damn flower in your hand, people would be like, ah,
all right, here's $1.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
I thought I forget. There was a bunch of like little fascinating stuff in there. I did find that book interesting.
Little, what I've learned about it, especially as it pertains to everyday life, is all those little advertising leaflets and stuff you get in the mail.
Right.
All the little advertisements that pop up on your screen in when you're online. If you click on any one of those, or if you respond to any of the leaflets in the mail, all of a sudden that opens doors to just all this other stuff coming in. Okay, that we found one. This guy responded to this. He clicked on this. Now you're going to start getting, if you click on it online, you're going to start getting stuff in the mail.
Oh yeah.
They found people that would respond to a leaflet in the mail were like, 1,000 times more likely to put this giant ugly sign on their front lawn, that said like vote for Ross Perot or whatever than the people that did not. And
Right. Well, the politicians will sell their mailing lists. I know
ah,
because I do if you donate to one candidate. There's one year I donated to this one candidate. It was a conservative, but then I started getting all this stuff from like Christian activists and abortion. Da 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 da. It's funny. Then a few years later, I gave money to Hillary. Then I changed my mind and gave money to Obama too. But then immediately you'll see, um, yeah, you start getting all sorts of left wing magazine kind of subscription stuff. I think, or I mean, it depends. I mean, Hillary and Obama probably don't sell their mailing list. They got so much money, they don't need the few extra shekels there. But if you ever give some money to like a lower end organization or a candidate, they probably start. Yeah, but it is interesting how the
Yeah. Oh, and another thing, like when they send you, you know how sometimes they want you to donate to the Smile Train or whatever, and they'll send you like that sheet with like those peel and stick address labels.
right.
You know, it says your name and your address on it. You are much, much more likely to to donate to that organization if they send you something like as a free gift. You know, if they send you like this
Right.
little fake coin or something like that, or if they send you one of those sheets with the address labels on there, they are much more likely to get donations if they send you something free than if they don't.
Well, you ever seen the ones where they actually have they send $1 in the mail?
No, I've never seen
You
that.
never seen that? They actually there's $1 bill in there,
Okay.
and money makes a difference. Please, and obviously, I'm sure someone has done the math. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Probably for every dollar they send out, they get $4 back or whatever it is. If
Yeah. Yeah.
somebody has done the computations to be sure.
Yeah. Interesting. Huh. That's cool.
Well, should we wrap it up here, Steve?
Yeah, we probably should.
This was fun. Just the two of us hanging out. But
it was.
we don't want to jinx ourselves. But it looks like you have really gotten together an all-star lineup of guests coming up here. Some true stars from the world of poker.
We should have them. It's I'm excited.
And hopefully we're going to check back in with some of our favorite guests too and see how they're.
Yeah, I think we should do that. We should do a few all stars and then bring back Jacob and Mark and Doug and see how they're doing. But yeah, hit us up on Twitter, Facebook,
Mrs. Barton isn't coming back until she makes me a strawberry rhubarb pie or something. I'm gonna have to extort something from her here. I'm afraid. Yeah.
She makes some awesome chocolate chip cookies.
Ooh,
they are
okay.
to die for. You know what else she does too?
Too.
She does a lot of canning. So she does these. She calls them bread and butter pickles. Oh my God! Like every time I see her, I'm like, Mom, just bring as many cans as you can. She makes these hot dilly beans. Canned jam. They have up there. They live out in the sticks in Idaho, and they have a lot of just a beautiful property. I mean, it's 5 acres of pine trees and blackberries and
pickles, poker, and pine trees. This is what keeps a family together.
Her jam is good. Next time we meet up, I'll bring you some of her jam. She makes it out of the local wild plums there and blackberries and peaches and pears and apples and her jam is really good. But anyhow, we will talk to you guys next week. We've got Dusty Schmidt coming on. He's the author of my favorite poker book, Treat Your Poker Like a Business, and he's also written a book called Don't Listen to Phil Hellmuth. It's basically 50 of the most common mistakes that poker players make. And so we'll have him on next week. He's a cash game specialist. So I'm looking forward to that. That should be cool.
Okay.
That should be cool.
Well, you and I are tournament players now, so Steve, you'll have to reach back into if we actually want to ask him about a hand.
I think we should.
Maybe
should
not. He's the top of the food chain in the cash game world, so I don't know. We might embarrass ourselves with our,
No, it can't be any more than I've embarrassed myself already on this show.
Okay. Well, when I talk about 300 big blinds getting in there with pocket fours against Granny Willis, he might scratch his head a little bit. Okay, brother.
All right, man. I
Nice
will
talking to
talk to you next week, and you guys have a good one, and good luck at the tables.
I once, I'm a magician, and I got interested in mind reading and fortune telling, fake fortune telling, and I got to know a lot of old fakes who had retired as millionaires, and they told me their secrets. How you do it. There are things that are called cold readings. A cold reading is you warm up the sucker by telling him things that he says, how could he ever know that, you see? You say, between the ages of 13 and 15, you had a great change came in your life. But that happens in everybody's life. But he says, he came in and told me this irony. He said, you've got a scar on your knee. Everybody fell down and has a scar on their knee. Those are cold readings, you see.
I have a scar on my knee.
Sure
How
you
did
do.
you know that?
Yeah, you see? Just something bigger than myself. Well, now, the point about this is that after they're warmed up, they're amazed by this knee bit and the rest of it, they start telling you. Because you just say, is it sin? You see from their face it is or it isn't. Then you tell it back and they say, how did he do it? You see? So I was bored. I was playing in Kansas City with Catherine Cornell one time, and we didn't have any matinee on Wednesday, so I hired a room and put Dr. Swami fortune teller, $2 readings, and for the whole day they came in, and each one, because I felt guilty about it at the end, I said, I'm not going to take your money, because I couldn't have really taken it. For a whole day I was a fortune teller, faking. But then there began to happen to me the thing that does happen to fortune tellers, and which is the occupational disease of fraudulence, fortune tellers. And they have a name for it. It's called becoming a shut-eye. And a shut-eye in the argot of these crooks is the fellow who begins to believe himself. You see, and you make these wild guesses. One of them explained it. He says, supposing you're a night clerk in a hotel, and when you get the job, first of all, a fellow comes in, wants a single room. You look at how good his luggage is, how good are his shoes, and you tell him there's a room in the court, there's no room, or yes, sir, depending on various pieces of evidence. He says, you've been a night clerk long enough, you glance, and you tell him. You've been a night clerk a little longer, and you don't have to look. You've seen it, but the computer in here has made all of those deductions without your being conscious of it. So the mind reader gets so that he, without thinking, does that, and then they say it's true. And a woman came in to me at the end of my career as a fraudulent fortune teller in a bright print dress, sat down, looking perfectly all right, and I said, you've lost your husband last week. And she burst into tears. She had. And then I quit.
That was terrible.
Yes, it's one of those things. Undoubtedly, it's not psychic. Undoubtedly, there was evidence of a tragedy. There was all kinds of things that went into the computer and got processed without me crookedly thinking what I'm going to say to her. And that's how it works.
That's fascinating. And you get sort of 5 spooky premonitions a
like
year.
that, and then, yes, I do. And I'm sure they're all spooky like that in some kind of funny way. I suppose I looked at Una and said, she's just Una is exactly the girl that would be happy with Charlie, I suppose. And instead of thinking, maybe you'll meet him, what did I lose? I said, you're going to marry him. And she did.